Okay. So a good warm wishes on this chilled weather of Bangalore. I hope everybody is able to hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you are able to hear me. All right. So a warm welcome to everyone who has logged in. Greetings for the elders, for our friends, peers, and aspiring dietitians who have logged in for this webinar. And we agree this webinar, which is going to happen after a very long time. And it's always more than a pleasure to welcome all of you on behalf of IDA Bangalore chapter, because it's one of the event which has been much awaited and happening after a very long time. Right? It's always a feeling of homecoming when we host any of the events on behalf of IDA, especially Bangalore chapter. And this being happening after a long time, it gives more of a feeling of reconnection with our nature, because IDA being the face of our fraternity, and we always being in state of giving our belongingness for our fraternity, we want to do more and more sessions for our IDA Bangalore chapter. So now, as you all have seen the agenda, we are going to pick up a topic today, which is quite popular amongst especially the aspiring dietitians. It's on sports nutrition, correct? So sports nutrition is something which is more of a delicate balance between the energy requirements, muscle repair, muscle build-up, prevention of injury, focus, mental status, endurance, strength, and so much to learn about it. So today we are going to fuel up our knowledge on sports nutrition, enhance on the topic, or how do we get the peak performance from a person from the industry who is ever smiling and known for her work in this field of sports nutrition. She's been there in this for 1.5 decades, so it's quite a long time and has quite a lot of experience in this. And but before that, we would welcome Dr. Sandhya Singh to do the welcoming. And can we see the? Can we see? Yeah, thank you. So who doesn't know Dr. Sandhya? Everybody knows she doesn't require any introduction. But yes, for the justification, because she being a grounded person wouldn't want me to speak up everything about her or whole of her profile. But yes, for doing the justification, for people to know what all she has done and the others to get inspired to be someone like her, I need to do a justification, just 2 or 3 lines about Dr. Sandhya. So she is a PhD who has PhD from Mysore University. She finished it in 2016. She has 22 years of experience in the field of clinical nutrition and dietetics. And she is a convener of IDA Bangalore chapter, and has been silently doing lots and lots of work amongst a lot of pressure. And alongside her work as a chief clinical dietitian from Apollo Hospital, she has finished her low FODMAP diet course from Monash University and Eastman Triple L courses. And she has spent on many chapters, especially for Apollo Handbook, which is a series of different guidelines for adult and pediatric nutrition. It's Indian food anthropology, diabetes mellitus, and functional foods and nutraceutical, nutrition care pathways for critical care nutrition, and a lot of guidelines for patients post-transplant. Okay, and she has also been conferred with Joseph Lister Award for her review articles in the year of 2015. And of course, many awards from IAPN and IDA Bangalore IDA for her publications. So quite many things to her credit, and would love to invite you, Dr. Sandhya. Please come and enlighten all of us what are the new things we are going to look forward from IT.
Thank you for those kind words, Shalini. And good afternoon to one and all. And good afternoon to all the distinguished participants, respected seniors of the fraternity of Bangalore chapter, and friends. On behalf of Indian Dietetic Association, it is my privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to the scientific session today on sports nutrition, that is fueling peak performance. We are truly honored to have with us Ms. Namratha Pramod. She is a high performance analyst at Sports Authority of India, Bangalore. She will be sharing her expertise on optimizing nutrition for athletic excellence. As we are gathered here on this day, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that, like any other professional body or association, we are actually navigating certain challenges and concerns this time. And however, it is precisely during such periods that our commitment to growth, professionalism, and continuous learning becomes even more important. Programs like this remind us of the importance of staying updated, refining our knowledge, and upholding the standards that define our field. Your performance, your presence here today reflects the spirit of dedication that strengthens our fraternity because the unwavering pursuit of learning rises about distractions and helps us move forward collectively. Once again, on behalf of Indian Dietetic Association Bangalore chapter, I welcome you all and wish you a meaningful, insightful, and enriching session ahead. So with this session, let us expect more such sessions to happen in future. So a warm welcome and a happy learning to all of you. Thank you. And over to Shalini again to take the session forward.
Thank you, Sandhya.
Shalini?
So now it's the time to introduce. Yeah. Now it's the time to introduce Namratha. Can you kindly, Aisha, can you kindly share? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so we all know Namratha Pramod. She is an MSc RD and she is currently working as High Performance Analyst with Sports Authority of India, which is SAI. And she has, as mentioned earlier, she has 1.5 decades of experience in this field. She is an RD with clinical masters in clinical dietetics and food service management. She is certified in sports nutrition from NIS Patiala and ACSM, that's American College of Sports Nutrition. And she's continuing her education from Sports Nutrition Diploma from International Olympic Committee, which is based out of Switzerland. She is also a frequent speaker for corporate and community events, which promotes good health and about prevention of lifestyle diseases. A regular speaker with many sports academies and about high performance academies because she specializes on that, and she has many national and Olympic. She has many national and Olympic athletes under her nutritional guidance. They are lucky to be blessed to be guided from her, and she's a proud team nutritionist for Olympias of 2020 and 2024. And she's been awarded with Sadhna Award for Sports Nutrition by NIN Hyderabad. And she has more than 8 publications which has been published in national and international journals. And she also carried out a KAP study on chrononutrition on the topic nutrient timings in athletes. And of course, her affiliations are quite many. She is a LEC member of IDA Bangalore chapter, a core committee member in Ujjwal RD training, because that's a fraternity which is going ahead with the training of young aspiring dietitians for their exams. And she is a convener of Association of Sports Nutrition and Fitness Sciences from Bangalore chapter. A warm welcome to Namratha, who is also a very dear friend of mine and always pleasing personality, smiling one, and look forward to hear from you, Namrata. Welcome.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Sandhya ma'am, for having me after such a long time. And we are starting the nutrition series, and truly privileged to be here. Uh, and can I just share my slide? So I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. I will be talking to you a topic that is very dear to me. I'm talking about fueling peak performance. And let me also share some insight of what we do and how we go about doing the different nutritional challenges and different nutrition interventions, as and when I speak about uh, the nutrition part of it. So, why does nutrition matter? From hospital to sports, all of us have been clinical nutritionists. Me myself have been a clinical nutritionist and come to sports now. Basically, nutrition is a foundation for health and healing. We also look at fueling the performance when we talk about sports nutrition. But there is a common goal that we have. We are definitely looking at optimum functioning of the body as such. So, I would just like to take a minute and show you the evolution of nutrition as a profession. We all started as a traditional role being clinical dietetics or clinical nutritionist, slowly spreading our wings to public health and community nutrition. Then we realized there is a need to start looking into preventive nutrition and lifestyle nutrition. Then came the sports and performance. As you have seen over the last decade, there has been an immense growth in sports nutritionist as such. And now we are also into personalized and functional nutrition, that is talking about nutrigenomics, AI, and tech based approaches. So, I would just like to highlight the key differences between what a clinical and a sports nutritionist does. Because even when I entered the field, I was in a puzzle to know what to do, how to start about. So, the focus and objective of a clinical nutritionist is to aim and manage, treat diseases, whereas a sports nutritionist looks at focusing and enhancing performance, endurance, and also look into the recovery part of it. However, the approach of dietary management is slightly different because a clinical nutritionist looks at modification and correction in terms of the nutrients, whereas a sports nutrition can look at emphasizing fueling, timing, and also the nutrition periodization. And these are rough parameters that we rely upon for assessments. We rely on medical tests and disease symptoms in the clinical setup, whereas in the sports nutrition setup, we are mostly into body composition, energy expenditure, and performance metrics. I think this would be an eye opener for all of us. When I was just trying to search some data to find out how many sports nutritionists are there in India, I could not find any data available for India. But however, I looked up, I just got this interesting slide. If you look at the nutritional professionals per 1 lakh population, this was a 2021 survey. We are way low below density, and I think that's how important our profession are, especially this words for the juniors who do not want to look into clinical practices, saying that there's no scope in terms of nutrition profession. I think we do hold a um, lot of place going ahead, and there is a lot of dearth of nutritionists. So, why does nutrition matter for athlete? It is basically that we are looking into providing energy for training intensity, endurance, and skill execution. We also look at enhancing muscle recovery, injury prevention, and adaptation. We also try to manage their nutrition to help maintain optimum body composition for the sport, whichever sport that we are talking about, whether it's a weight category sport like a taekwondo or a wrestling or a weightlifting, or it is the general sports of athletics, hockey, etc. We also look at supporting mental focus, hydration, and building upon immunity. We are also present in the part of injury, both in injury prevention and to also recover from injury and have a certificate of return to sport. So, the foundation of nutrition is the basics. that we talk about the macros as such, carbohydrate, protein, fat. Since I'm talking to colleagues of my own fraternity, I wouldn't really teach them what carbs and everything are. But these are the core principles that we follow in terms of sports nutrition. We look at mostly the energy systems, how they work. If the sport is something of an explosive power, like if we are looking at weightlifting, where he's supposed to lift the weight at once and the duration is less than 10 seconds, then we rely on ATP-PC system. For high intensity burst, we look at anaerobic glycolysis system, which is about a minute. And if it's endurance and a long duration performance, we look at aerobic systems. So, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to start them with adaptation and recovery, good muscle protein synthesis, glycogen restoration. We also look into hormone regulation and also immune support. I will just take you through 5 strategies for optimum performance that I would discuss today. First is the fuel timing. I have purposely put a picture of the staircase here. This is an easy way to make our athletes understand that you require a main fueling plan, that is the daily eating pattern. Then comes the fuel timing, like a pre training or a pre event fueling, during training, and also a post training fueling as such. Now let's look more into nutrient timings. I would just like to discuss the basics to do justice for the time given to me. So pre-training, what is that we need to focus on? If it is 1 to 3 hours before the training or the competition, we usually focus on carbohydrate for energy. We include a small amount of protein for satiety and muscle support. Also, avoid heavy and high fat, high fiber food, which is difficult for digestion, so that the training does not get affected. And during training for sessions more than 60 to 90 minutes, less than 60 minutes, we focus a lot on hydration, which is very important. Plain water would do the work. If it's more than 60 minutes, then we look at 30 to 60 gram of carbohydrate per hour to maintain the blood glucose, and also hydration with water or electrolytes depending on the sweat rate that we calculate. Post training, that is typically about 0 to 2 hours later, we try and do a carbohydrate and a protein combination to replenish both the glycogen and enhance repair. The scientific formula of having a carbohydrate and a protein is usually 1:4, 1 being protein and 4 being carbohydrate. Usually, what happens, we have seen in general, or we assume the athlete after a workout just has the protein shake as such, which is a wrong practice to do. So, we typically aim at 20 to 30 gram of protein plus some kind of a fast absorbing carbohydrates. So now we'll talk about glycogen management. What is that we achieve in glycogen management? The goal is to maintain glycogen stores to sustain intensity and to delay the fatigue and maximize performance and recovery. So when we look at daily glycogen optimization, this is how the carbohydrate intake might be. In moderate training, we say about 5 to 7 grams per kg per day. When it is endurance and high load or high intensity practice, it goes up to 7 to 10 grams per kg body weight. And also for ultra events, marathon, triathlons, it can go up to 12 grams per kg body weight per day. And how do we distribute the glycogen management? We again follow the steps, the pre-exercise glycogen loading, a high carb meal 24 to 48 hours before the key events, especially when we are talking about race walkers, when they have the most important competition that they need to attend. Then we also look at carbohydrate rich pre-event meal 2 to 4 hours prior. And during the exercise, we focus on 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour if the event is more than 60 minutes, usually given in the form of a liquid because liquid is easily absorbable. And we also look up to 90 gram per hour for ultra endurance events. And when we talk about glycogen management, not to miss the post exercise replenishment, which is about 1 to 1.2 gram per kg body weight of carbs in the first 2 hours, within 1 to 2 hours. And we also combine with 20 to 25 gram of protein to enhance the glycogen resynthesis. Protein requirement. I always tell my athletes this is the favorite nutrient of an athlete as such. Whatever in terms of workout you have, whether a light practice or a heavy training session, the only thing they want to have is some kind of a protein and then just get some rest. But is it actually true? As a clinical nutritionist, I'm sure most of you would have these doubts saying whether the food is enough to actually meet the protein requirement or is there any need for the supplement. Going ahead, I will definitely explain on that. So why do we require protein? What is the main goal that we need to achieve? It is to maintain a steady supply of amino acid across the day to maximum muscle repair, adaptation and performance. We do space the protein in each meal. Ideal per meal protein dosage would be about 20 to 30 gram high quality protein per meal, equivalent to 0.35 to zero point 0.4 gram per kg body weight per meal is what we focus on. And how do we meet the protein requirement? Aim for 3 to 4 meals and 1 to 2 protein rich snacks. And make sure you space the meals every 3 to 4 hours to achieve optimal muscle protein synthesis. And there is a window of opportunity or a training window that we call as it is within 1 to 2 hours post exercise. Gradually, with more and more studies, we have realized 15 to 30 minutes post training window actually works better. Here, we give a 20 to 30 gram of protein, again combined with carbs for a better recovery. And pre-sleep protein could be 8 to 10 grams of casein protein, which supports the overnight protein synthesis and enhances recovery as such. The fat recommendation and distribution, the goal again would be ensure adequate fat intake to maintain energy, hormones, and also metabolic health by supporting different training demands. The recommendation is usually about 20 to 35% of the total daily calories. Again, we do recommend it should not fall below 20% even when they are during their weight cuts, especially like the weight category sports that I spoke about, like taekwondo and weightlifting, to make sure they have 20% fat intake at least per day. Endurance athletes, when they are in the off season, we do try and increase their fat consumption as such to bring up the fat percentage. It would be about 25 to 35 percentage of total calories. So this is just a slide to show what are the fuel sources actually required by us. If you can see, the one in the red is the fat, the one in the orange is the carbohydrate, and one in the green is the protein. For across all the sports, the protein used as a fuel is base minimum. This is also one way that we educate the athletes and say the major focus has to be on carbohydrate and fat varied across a different sports also. Again, hydration plays a very, very important role in sports performance. Usually, we do not consider water as a nutrient in general, but in a sports scenario, it makes a lot of difference because it helps to maintain the blood volume, it helps in temperature regulation, especially when they're training in hot and humid climate, and also it is required for nutrient transport. A dehydration can cause an athlete to reduce their endurance, strength, and even focus, even if it is as simple as 1 to 2% of dehydration. Anything more than 2% of dehydration is considered to be serious in terms of sports performance. How do we start doing the hydration strategy? We start them with a well hydrated state. We don't start them in a dehydrated state. We also teach them to read the urine color chart. Light urine means a good status. We ask them to sip a few fluids across the day and not consume water all at once. If you can see the chart here showing the effects of dehydration, with 2% of dehydration, there is a impaired performance. Going higher and higher, it would lead to heat exhaustion, hallucination, or a circulatory collapse as such. Many a times we have seen athletes who collapse on the field of play. It might not be something major like a heart attack. It could just be a heat stroke, which is caused by as simple as a dehydration, and the athlete is not hydrated well. Electrolyte balance, as we speak about hydration, the key electrolytes are very important are sodium, potassium, chloride, and magnesium. Sodium is the most important for athletes because it is usually lost in sweat, and the more amount of sodium they have, it reduces the cramping risk. During long or high sweat sessions, especially in hot climates, we recommend them to use electrolytes containing sodium, that is 300 to 600 milligram per hour. On the left, you can see a tonicity bottle that we have introduced here in our institute, which gives the uh, hyper, hypotonic, and isotonic. Basically, we have used the WHO electral as such and done the dilution factor. I know a lot of sports nutritionists would argue with me to tell that electrol is not a good electrolyte drink as such, but we were just trying to address the simple problem that happens. We usually see the athlete taking the electrol packet, dissolving in whatever water bottle size they have and consuming, whereas scientifically it was not yielding any kind of a benefit to the athlete. So we came up with this bottle and did the tonicity so that it helps them to understand what an isotonic drink would taste like, what a hypertonic drink would taste like, and when they have to consume these kind of tonicity drinks. The other ways to practically assess dehydration are by calculation method, calculation of sweat rate, which we usually do on the ground. Another way to teach the athlete for simple solution is to analyze their urine. As you can see the urine color chart, 1 to 3 means hydrated, and 4 to 6 is mildly dehydrated. 7 to 8 shows darker yellow, which is completely dehydrated. The urine color might not be an actual indicator because it does vary when there is a consumption of B12 medications. But in general, this is a way that we ask the athlete to assess their hydration status as such. We also have wearable sweat rate sensors, but as of now in India, we don't have any of those. Essential micronutrients, as we all know, iron, calcium, vitamin D, B vitamins, antioxidants, all of these are very, very important for the athlete. It is such scenario where vitamin D deficiency is predominant in the athlete, we usually understand that sunlight gives us vitamin, and since the athletes are on the ground most of the time, they might not have vitamin D deficiency. But yes, we do see a lot of athletes having the vitamin D deficiency. So to address these kind of a deficiencies, we also do food fortification. One of the example that I put up on the screen is having the curry leaf powder. Even in the South India, uh, even normal population, we don't consume the curry leaves. So we can't expect pan India athlete to have them. What we do is we just dehydrate the curry leaves, make a powder out of it, and use it in a scientific quantity with the dal, the roti, and the sabzis that we make at the mess, so that there is some kind of a food fortification happening even without the knowledge of the athlete. And other essential micronutrients, like all of us know, would be magnesium, zinc, sodium, and potassium, the vital electrolytes, and omega 3 fatty acid, not only used as a micronutrient but also for performance relevance, because it reduces the inflammation and also helps to support recovery and brain function. Gut health. We all talk a lot about gut health, and in the recent years, there has been a lot of study and a lot of focus on the gut health as such. And even in ancient days, like we always say, it's a gut feeling. That is the kind of importance that we give for the gut. In athletes, how would it matter? It matters for efficient fuel absorption. The healthier the gut is, the better the absorption is. Immune function also increases with a good gut. The GI comfort during exercise. Just imagine an athlete who is having any kind of a gut issue, could be as simple as a nausea, and he has a very important competition on that day. It becomes very difficult. So that is how we focus on gut health also a lot, to reduce nausea, cramps, bloating, either during the training or during the competition. And we also look at energy availability, as I already mentioned, for efficient fuel absorption, and also digestion to support stable energy and fatigue. What are the strategies that we use to improve the gut health of an athlete? We prioritize on probiotics and prebiotics. We also train the gut. If you can see the picture down, we have introduced a continental menu in the mess, so that we are training the gut of an athlete when they are traveling. And as most of you know, travel is a part of athlete's life, and they cannot be used to one particular food and expect the same when they are traveling. We also try and modify the fiber timing that they consume. Moderate fiber, or overall, we reduce the high fiber food 12 to 24 hours before any kind of a intense training or a competition. We work on hydration, adequate fluids, and electrolytes to support digestion and prevent cramping. We also try and limit irritants, that is, especially caffeine, spicy food, artificial sweetener, and also high fat meals pre event. Now that I'm talking about caffeine, I would like to put in a point here. We all know caffeine gives that performance edge for those who are caffeine sensitive athletes, when taken as a supplement or even a black coffee as such in the morning. But think about it, when an athlete is already stressed with the competitor, if he has a tough competitor to compete that day, and we are also giving him caffeine as a pre-drink as such to improve the performance, then his stomach would really give him a bad scene for the day. So it is very important to analyze these things well in advance and not on the days of the competition. Now we are talking about recovery nutrition. As the picture says it all, the 4 R's of recovery. First one is rehydration. We talk about fluid replacement. Especially when we calculate the sweat rate analysis, we say per 1 kg of body weight loss, we replace it with 1.5 liters of fluid, and we refuel. The energy availability is calculated and made sure that they have enough energy in terms of carbohydrate especially. We also look at repair, that is the muscle tissue regeneration in terms of protein, and also rest, which is often required. We also talk about pre-sleep nutrition, for example, the casein protein that I spoke about. Other lifestyle strategies for peak performance are structured training schedules. We always discuss with the coaches. We understand what phase of training the athlete is in and then do their dietary practices. We also encourage them to have active light recoveries like yoga, stretching, foam rolling, and we also support them for social and mental well-being. We work in a close association with the sports psychologists and see if they actually require any help for a sustained performance. Competition day nutrition. What are the goals that we need to look at? We need to maximize energy availability, maintain on hydration and electrolyte, prevent GI discomfort, support focus, speed, and endurance, and make sure they have optimum recovery for multi day events. As you can see, we have designed a nutrition travel kit, which we do give the athletes whenever they're traveling for competitions, and make sure that they are fueled well even when they are away from the campus. So, competition nutrition, the core strategies, like I already mentioned, start the competition with full glycogen stores, consume familiar and easily digestible food. We always tell the athlete not to consume any new food that they don't know about. We ask them to prioritize carbohydrate for quick energy. If it is more than 2 hours, then complex carbohydrate helps. If it is less than 2 hours for the event, then we ask them to focus on simple carbohydrates. Also, maintain a steady hydration leading into the event so that they don't start in a dehydrated phase. Avoiding high fat, high fiber, and spicy food. The timings definitely does matter. 24 to 48 hours before we start a high carb intake, and the training would reduce, which would give an effect of glycogen compensation. 2 to 4 hours before, we ask them to have a balanced pre-event meal. 15 to 30 minutes before, a quick carb if needed. We also educate the athlete with travel nutrition guidelines, saying when they are starting, what to consume, when they reach the airport, what to consume. And my talk about sports nutrition would be incomplete if I do not talk about supplements, because that is one of the common questions we as nutritionists have, or even the athletes would have, how to come and discuss with us. The reason why consumption of supplement looks attractive is definitely the winning edge, the financial gain or sponsorship that they get from any kind of supplement companies. It is convenient sometimes. Instead of eating so many things, it is easy to pop up a pill or just have a spoonful of powder. They believe that it makes them bigger, stronger, leaner, faster, and it is also to give an advantage over other competitors. And the baseline of a supplement consumption has to be correcting nutritional deficiencies, especially after the blood works are done. However, we always believe in food first approach. If you look at the triangle, it's always the macros, micros, nutrient timing, sports food, and only the top or the very minimum uh, period would be the supplement usage. And this is how we educate the athletes. And it's very important to be open about the supplements that they consume so that they don't get caught in the doping, and they can come and openly discuss with you what they're having. I would just like to take 5 minutes to discuss a case scenario that happens. We are talking about a marathon runner here, 28-year-old male marathon runner, training about 80 to 100 kilometers per week. The basic goal is to improve on endurance and avoid fatigue during the race time. The challenges this particular athlete has is frequently feels fatigued during long runs, experiences bloating and mild cramps during the run or the mid run, and he has an inconsistent post run recovery meal as such. So, after nutrition analysis, what we found out was the carbohydrate intake was below recommended. It was about 4 to 5 gram per kg body weight instead of 7 to 10 grams that is usually recommended. The protein timing was missing because he skipped the post run meals, which led to slower muscle recovery. Hydration and electrolytes, only water was consumed during long runs. That is why this marathoner had mild cramping mid run. So, what were the strategies that we used to brief a little? We started him with a pre training meal or a snack as such, 60 to 90 minutes before, a light carb snack being banana and toast. Then during the training, we opted, because his training was more than 90 minutes, we opted for carbohydrate gels or sports drink every 30 to 45 minutes. And sometimes we also included the electrolytes. Post training, we asked him to do a 20 to 30 gram of protein plus 1 gram per kg body weight carbs within the 2 hours. So the daily plan was to mostly adjust the macronutrients to meet the training load, monitor the hydration, and practice fueling strategies during the training. So overall outcome of what we did was improved energy availability because we had increased the carbohydrate consumption. We also tried to reduce the GI distress and the cramps. And also we were looking at faster recovery and improved training performance. So I'm sure most of us have this question, what does a sports nutritionist does? I would just like to take the next 1 to 2 minutes to say what we do. We do assessments and counseling like any other nutritionist. We also do the monitoring. We have introduced something called as an athlete meal card, which is kept in the dining hall. We do the periodization of nutrition to the session. We have marked the RP, that is the rate of perceived exertion. And when an athlete can identify the RP, similarly with the mean fueling plan, there is something as an add-on to the diet plan. On field, we do sweat rate analysis and also exercise energy expenditure during the training. We also do tasting, standardization, and quality checks even before the athlete eats as such. We also are involved in developing and creating innovative recipes in the research kitchen. As you can see, one of the very famous product that we have developed are the energy bars. It is not that the energy bars are not available in the market, but since the doping guidelines are very strict, we do prefer to do something in-house. And recently for the Paralympics that was there in Paris, we sent about close to 2000 bars, that's about 85 kgs, from Bangalore center, which was manufactured here and sent. And to make sure there is a easy transit, we also get it certified from CFTRI. We also believe in doing a lot of nutrition education because that is where the nutrition actually starts from it sometimes it's very difficult to tell the elite athletes because they have certain kind of a preset notion in terms of nutrition. They believe what they have been doing for long is the right thing, but I think nutrition education really helps us and makes our job easy, to tell them what to eat and how to eat. We also have para athletes with us. So we have developed audio diet plans for our athletes. And trust me, they are the most compliant athletes that I have. And recently we are Eat Right Campus certified. Last time we were 4-star certified, and this time we are 5-star certified. Thank you so much. I wanted to complete my slide with these two pictures. We won the Olympics in 2020, which ended the drought of 41 years for the hockey. And just 2 days back, we won the bronze medal in the World Cup with our junior hockey team. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thanks, you have covered all the practical aspects of day-to-day life of a sports nutritionist. It's always wonderful for us to know how your day goes, right? And what kind of clients you come across. And you have put across one of few of the things which people usually have a misconception, because whenever we hear about a sports nutrition, people think it's all about protein supplementation. You go about 1.5 gram, 1.2 gram, despite of how many hours they are putting in the sports. But this is the general notion people have. So rightly said, it has to be in the ratio of 1:4, carbohydrate being 4 and protein being 1. And also misconception about vitamin, that those who are exposed to sunlight will have a good vitamin D, which actually doesn't, because so many mechanisms are still not known about vitamin D's metabolism. These two things really, thanks for bringing it up. And I would want people to know about wonderful different standardization and recipes you have made. People should know she has made quite many of them, something very wonderful looking, which has a good shelf life, reasonable shelf life, because we can't expect something made with natural ingredient without a preservative to go long for many days. So please tell few before I take a few questions from audience. I'll just see which all questions have come. Please do few questions I have. So one thing is, try to tell us about the products that you have developed in these years.
Okay, thank you, Shalini. Like I was saying, we have a research kitchen as such, so we do keep coming up with different products. I already mentioned about the energy bars. In the picture, you could see something like a green rice and a red colored rice. These are basically beetroot rice and spinach rice, just to see the acceptability of the different colored rice that it is laid in the dining hall and they take. And we have also developed ready to eat cupcakes, beetroot cupcake. As you know, beetroot is one of the nutrient that helps as a pre-workout as such. It acts as a vasodilator. So we've developed a powder that can just be mixed with water and kept in the microwave, so that you get the fresh cupcake like we used to have when we were kids. And it's also easy to carry them. It does not require a lot of effort, and the shelf life, of course, is much better since it is carried in the powdered form. And also we have developed beetroot powders, where we know it is available outside in the market. Since I was talking about a lot of VADA and NADA for doping issues, we have developed beetroot powder, which is almost equivalent to about 180 grams of beetroot in probably 15 grams of powder. We've tried to air fry it so that the nutrient content increases by 10 to 12% based on the scientific studies. So these are the few products that we have developed. We've also developed hunkered mixes so that we replace the mayonnaise and ketchup that is usually consumed by the athlete. These are a few that
Wow.
I can think about.
Wow. Wonderful. And also, Namrata, I'm curious to know about the sweat rate you had displayed in the presentation, but wasn't that evident. Can you please tell us about that?
Okay, usually what we do is on ground, we calculate the sweat rate analysis. If you look through Google, you do get the formula. To explain in easy term, it is the pre-weight minus post-weight, and also minus the urine that they pass and the fluid that they consume, divided by
Right.
the number of hours that they play. So sweat rate analysis is usually calculated by liters by number of hours. For example, if an athlete is losing about 1 liter of sweat in 1 hour, then we work on hydration strategy and make sure that he consumes 1.5 liter, that is 150%, within the next 2 hours in general. And to
Okay.
be very practical, what happens on ground is there's one single water bottle and everybody drinking from it. So it is not as easy as we speak.
True, true,
Yes,
true,
there is
true,
difficult challenges to actually make it. So we do give them
true.
guidelines. We tell them before that we will be coming for the analysis, and they have to inform us when they take a washroom break. And I think
Okay.
nutrition education really plays a major role in such things.
Agreed. Agreed. And also, are the sports gel very common in India? The water ones, water gels, so that it's easy for people in India. Is it very common, commonly
Yes,
used?
it is more than the elite athletes. It's very common with the recreational athlete because one, they lack the nutrition knowledge. They feel if they're doing a half marathon or a marathon, they are supposed to take the sports gel. But it comes with its own pros and cons, though it gives you energy for the time being. Since it's in a concentrate form, it's lead to dehydration later.
Dehydration.
So I would always say consult a qualified nutritionist even before you try any products on yourself. And we do have a lot of gels available now.
Oh, right. And also the creatinine supplement. So do they abide by what you say? Like it's different for the training days and the off training days, rest days. So do they comply by what is your general observation? Do they
See, a
stick on to
general
that or they
observation is when we talk about creatinine, there is a loading dose and a maintenance dose. And I always believe when we don't talk to the athlete about supplements, they will not come back and share with us what they are doing. So it's very difficult to assess whether they're doing something right or wrong. Okay. But when they come to us and we talk to them openly about supplements and tell them how exactly they're supposed to take, I think they do abide by the rules.
Namrita, I have a couple of questions. Should I ask
Yes,
you?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Do we have any supplements for glycogen loading also?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a lot of supplements in the market, but the only challenge with them is the certification. Since we deal
Okay.
with athlete and they are very strict with anti-doping agencies, we don't have any labs in India as of now to say they're dope free. Okay, so
Okay.
we do have products available, but not from very reputed companies. So we're still
Okay.
trying to figure out on them.
Okay. Okay. And how different is the nutrient composition when they don't have a sports event for the athletes?
Ma'am, like I explained in the PPT, it is very different when they're not doing act. But I'm talking about athletes who does practice about 6 to 7 hours in a day. So they're very, very active. Maybe the
Oh.
percentage in terms of nutrition comes down when compared to an actual competition as such, but there is a lean period of training that they have when they're off their sport for maybe 2 months. Off season is what we call as. So that is the period
Okay.
that we work on the body composition that they want to achieve. So it is never like a break or a cheat time in an athlete's performance or in terms of nutrition. So the off season, we work on the body composition goals that they need to achieve.
Okay, okay. Since you are very closely associated with the athletes, I have a couple of questions. You can assume that this is my curiosity also. So, do they really take protein? And if at all they are taking protein, is it in the form of supplements? And if it is supplements, after how much duration of their practice they are supposed to take protein
Okay.
supplementation?
I think this is one of the common question all of us would probably have unless and until we work closely with an athlete. I always say do not have supplement when they are here with us in Sai Bangalore. The reason is the meal that they consume is usually supported with 3 to 4 kinds of protein that they can consume. Just to give you an example, we have boiled eggs, we have paneer, we have tofus. This is for boiled egg for vegetarians, then paneer and tofu every day, every meal. Then we have a chicken and maybe sometimes mutton, prawn, 2 dishes of non-veg as such. So when you have a meal availability like this, then the protein supplement actually doesn't do, uh, it's not required for them to consume. Whereas
Oh,
when they're traveling,
okay.
okay, where they don't
Mm-hmm.
have an accessibility of so much of protein sources, or when an athlete is coming
Okay.
from home and practicing, okay, and he's just
Okay.
making a dal and rice or maybe an egg fried rice kind of thing, that is when we advise
Mm.
do take the protein in terms of supplement. Okay, we do refer them to the good brands of supplements that we get, and it doesn't stop there. We do educate them how the protein has to be taken, because most of us do notice
Okay.
even in the gym, everybody is shaking a shaker and just drinking their protein. So it's very important to educate them the
Okay.
timing and the protein to be consumed by carbohydrate within the 15
Okay.
to 30 minutes window.
Right. And in your practice, have you come across any athlete who is a diabetic? And if yes, how do you deal with carbohydrate loading and peak performance in them?
Ma'am, as such, I've not come across anybody who's a diabetic as such. Okay, whereas we have had other athlete who've been hypothyroid. Okay, but unless and until the levels are under control, we don't have any nutrition challenges as such.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Namrata.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shalini will be asking a few more questions
Yeah, sure.
that is posted on
Yes.
Facebook. Yeah, what strategies can help vegan athletes consume adequate protein and meet leucine targets for performance?
I think veganism and
Nowadays, it's a
athletics.
trend of vegan
Yes.
protein now.
Yeah, I think the only simple solution would be a pea protein. But when you look at actual athletes, I don't find anybody vegan. So I've never had this challenge. This is mostly into recreational athletes who say they're vegan athletes. Okay, we do need to use supplementation for them because meeting protein requirement are very very difficult. So I would say it is the choice of the supplement that you have. So as nutritionist, we need to study the composition of the supplements and then probably advise them with suitable supplements as such.
And also, probably, how much of protein they are taking and from what source and all that, probably.
Yes, yes, that does
Isn't it?
matter.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
individually, for every activity, the requirement is different. Yeah. Yeah. So there's another question. Hi Namrata, can you elaborate on consuming a combination of carbs with protein post training session?
Okay. See, it is very simple. When we talk about carbohydrate and protein combination, I already told you 1 to 4 or 1 to 3 ratio is a good ratio to be consumed. So we would start as simple as a peanut chicky, which is usually forgotten. It's a good post training meal, which does have the protein and carb in the same ratio. We will also work on different kinds of fruit milkshakes, which gives the protein and carbohydrate formulation. Here we design the recovery drinks in 1:4 or 1:3 formulas and then give it to the dining hall for the preparation. Also, we can work on a handful of nuts and dry fruits, which is very easy to tell the athlete and also very easy for the athlete to carry it to the ground and have.
So, do I take up the next question, Sandhya?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so there was a question about vegan athletes. How do we justify, how do they get their leucine requirements?
So I think we answered that it is probably
Oh,
studying the supplement much in detail and doing the
uh-huh.
nutrition composition. That's how we work with.
Okay. Probably had some we had some issue
The
with the
next
internet.
question is
If
there.
Yeah.
okay, same hormone also has been asked. Hormone regulation in women.
No.
Okay. So, I mean, how do we justify with the hormonal regulations? There are so many changes which happens in our, hormone regulations in women and though especially athletes. So, diet-wise, how do you take care?
See, we have tried to do the seed cycling, but to be very honest, that is not majorly helped our athletes because I'm talking about an athlete who does practice 4 to 6 hours in a day. And when we did a little more studying on this, we realized that their performance is much better when they are actually in the menstrual phase. And I have very less athletes who come back to me and say, I have a PMS or I have some kind of a bloating issues because they're very focused. I think this is the mental resilience that they have, that they don't usually focus on any kind of a PMS problems. And we did try seed cycling, but not been very successful with it.
Okay. So the next question is, how does gastrointestinal microbiota influence tolerance and efficiency of carbohydrate loading protocols?
Okay. It is very important to have a good gut health. I think most of us would agree with that. Okay. When you don't have a good gut health, when you're trying to do the carbohydrate loading, it could be as simple as a bloating that can happen, which is not very good for an athlete. Okay, so what we try and do is we try to familiarize them with the food that they consume much prior to the competition. We don't try and keep anything nearing the competition. Like I was talking about the off season diet, where we work on the body composition changes as such. That is the time that we try during the try the carbohydrate loading and see how the body is reacting prior to the competition. And also sometimes it is very very tricky. We know how the gut behaves, but we don't know how the gut behaves in terms of stress. It could be physical or mental. And especially when I talk about mental stress, when you know your competitor is a strong competitor, you don't know how your gut behaves. So, yes, it is still challenging to actually know the exact influence and tolerance, but we do use the 2 months of off season period to try any kind of a nutritional strategies.
Okay. Do you recommend supplementation also of probiotics?
No, if the food is good enough, if we have that amount of probiotics and prebiotics in the food, we don't, ma'am.
Okay. And are the athletes undergoing annual health checks? The vitamin B12 and vitamin D levels are checked regularly and corrected if needed?
Yes. Usually, what happens as a part of protocol, every 6 months they are to be tested. It's only 2 blood pricks in a year that
Oh,
the IOC has allowed. So that is why
oh,
they tested twice, usually a Jan and a July schedule as such. But in terms of deficiency, if we see a Jan test, they're being deficient, then the nutritionist works and also in combination with the doctor, where we sit across, discuss the supplement strategy, the nutrition strategies, then repeat the blood test after 4 to 6 weeks, like done otherwise.
Okay. Okay.
Namrata, any different case study that you would want to discuss? Some very unique or special, where which was quite close to your heart, where you felt achievement? Anything that you want to share with everyone?
Okay, I would like to talk about a disappointment as such, which kind of had a very bad effect on me for quite some time. We had this athlete who was a sprinter, and she was basically a localite here. And I mean, when we go on ground, it is so much of education going on. We keep telling them drink water and everything. This is post COVID that she had a very important event, which was close to, I think it was in Mangalore or something, which is about 4 to 6 hours travel from Bangalore as such. And this girl happened to travel on bus the same day. Since it's a girl, it's very difficult for washroom, so she did not hydrate herself well. Okay. And they just reached the stadium. The previous night also, it was the fatigue that she didn't pay attention on actually hydrating. And then the next day morning, when they had the heats, she got injured and she couldn't take part in the major competition that was very important for
Oh
her
God.
to actually continue her career.
Oh
Okay.
God.
And for
Oh.
the as simple reason as not drinking water. That's why when we talk about hydration, I make sure all my athletes are carrying bottles with them. Even if it's a nutrition education class, I tell them you lose 1 hour of hydration. So they do come back with bottles. This is one case that was so close to me, so personal, that we felt so heartbreak, and she was not in the camp anymore because she could not perform that particular competition.
Yeah. There's another question. What all probiotics in general are provided in the mess? You just mentioned that pre and probiotics are naturally given in the food. So this question is relevant to that, Namrata.
We have a lot of fermented foods, okay, which we also have fermented kanjis, like uh, any South Indian would consume fermented curd rice made into a ganji and kept as a porridge in the morning. And of course, we have good amount of curd. Oh,
Namrata?
audible now?
I have another question, Namrata.
Yes, ma'am.
Just again, out of curiosity, I'm asking how much of them are really, adhering to the diet that is given and they are off junk food.
Okay. Ma'am, actually, when you talk about elite athletes, they're very, very focused. Okay. And I'll share just a small thing. We have one day, we have a particular Chinese menu in the mess. Okay. The reason is when I joined newly, I used to see a lot of Zomato and Swiggy coming in. And when we tried to find out what they eat, it was one of the Chinese food that they used to eat. But then it took a lot of perseverance and convincing our admin to say that if we don't provide here, they will eat outside. And if they're eating here, at
Mm.
least I know what ingredients go into it. And there are no artificial colors and flavors. So that is how we try to tackle. But since we're talking about elite athletes, they're very, very serious about their nutrition. They would not really junk. Even when they're outside, they would probably pick up the call and say, Ma'am, this is available. What do I eat? So they're very, very focused.
Yeah. There's another question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is usually suggested in the travel nutrition kit?
Okay. Every time it depends on where they travel to. Okay, if they are traveling abroad, where they do have certain amount of food available, just that they're not used to the kind of food, we give them energy bars, which would compensate as a meal for them, and also we give them air fried pineapples, which can be used as a pre, during, and post snack as such. If it is more like a local travel where they would be traveling from North India to South India, South India to North India, they're not used to the food patterns and they don't have more time to get used to the eating patterns. That is when we design the ready to eat food like upmas and poha, where they just need to add hot water and eat. And also we do give them good amount of millet cookies that they can have as a post training snack.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Have you seen any athlete with any micro and macronutrient overload
Yes.
due to faulty practices?
Okay. So one thing that we have seen is vitamin D only. It's very important to understand when to start the supplement. It's equally important to know when to stop the supplement. Okay, I have seen an athlete, a senior athlete, with a vitamin D level of 300 plus, and that's when we were advised. When we got the blood work done, we told him to stop the supplementation. And since he was consuming a foreign supplement, it had more than three times of the RDA that we do usually recommend. And I think within there were no ill effects on him, but however, it was
Okay.
not a good sign. But then, over a period of time, yes, it did come down to 80 plus when he stopped the supplement.
Okay. So you mean to say he didn't have any symptoms at all of the
No,
toxicity?
no.
Okay.
I
It
mean, it
didn't
was
affect his performance also.
no, it did not. It was very strange. It was only through
Mm-hmm.
the regular blood work that we also discovered, and we were
Mm-hmm.
actually in shock that the level had gone up so much.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. When generally, somebody is on supplements, the risk of toxicity is very high if they don't periodically check the levels.
Yes, that is why even when we are advising supplements, we tell them it's important to know when to start, but it's equally
Yeah.
important to know when to stop because
Yes.
they feel they are athletes and they want all the nutrients all the time. But that is not the scenario.
Hmm. Do you see that, the athletes come to you and they ask you to start them on protein supplementation? Though,
Yes.
adequately providing it in the diet, is there anything like they are requesting you to start? Because they feel that when it is taken in the supplement form, the absorption and the results are much better.
Yeah. And Sanya ma'am, like I showed the slide, sometimes it's the peer pressure that they have, especially
Yeah.
in team sports. Okay.
Mm,
Uh, they would come back to me and name an athlete and say, he's taking that, can I take it? Okay.
mm,
And that is when we sit down, we do the 24-hour recall, and then we advise that whether
mm.
it is actually recommended or not recommended. There are sometimes that we recommend protein supplements only after a high intensity session. Usually, there's a misconception. When they start protein, they take protein twice a day whenever they work out. But we do strategize in such a way to say if they have a heavier session, they can consume. So, when they have a
Okay.
light session or a rest period, they need not consume the protein.
Okay. Right. I have one question, Namrata. See,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
whenever these athletes are training and they are performing and things, they want to build up the muscle mass and things.
Mhm.
And do you have you ever come across somebody who's really very lean to look at, but they have really good muscle strength and they're able to perform well? So that is one. In continuation to this, how do you assess the nutritional status in athletes?
Okay, ma'am, to start with, we have different departments with us. Like we have a anthropometry, which gives us a in detail of the body composition to know how much muscle mass is present in that particular limb, like the upper limb or the lower limb. And we do have physiology department who does the strength testing part of it. And what we do is we in turn take all these reports and then we work with the SNC expert. See, nutrition, when we talk, we know the protein will not go to the hand or the leg. Okay, so it's in general that say protein consumption is increased. So we
Okay.
sit with the SNC coach and we also sit with the team coach and then discuss how the training schedules have to be. Okay,
Okay.
we tell them this is the amount of protein that we have planned. For example, like a zero point 0.8 gram of protein that we have planned. And now it's for the SNC or the coach to look into the training part of it.
Okay.
And for this question, I mean, in continuation with protein, one thing I wanted to add on is we always feel the elite athlete requires a lot of protein. Okay, but actually, according to the studies, it's the
Mm.
grassroots level athlete which require higher protein consumption because we are talking about their body adaptation. So once
Okay.
the adaptation happens with the elite athletes, the kind of protein consumption is actually much lesser than the grassroots level of athlete.
Okay. Okay. It's much lesser.
Yes, it
So
is
when they
much.
are actually building up their muscle mass and muscle strength, their requirements are much more than
Yes, yes, because the adaptation has to happen.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's another question. Protein
Yes, ma'am.
supplementation with increase in serum creatinine as well as blood glucose is another common thing that we hear. What is your opinion about it?
Okay. See, it depends on how much protein supplementation they are taking. For example, if they are practicing thrice a day and they're
Oh,
taking a protein supplement which also has a creatinine, then this risk of creatinine being high would be there. Okay.
okay.
Blood glucose, not really, because they're very, very active athletes that we are talking about. So there's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a common thing that I have seen the blood sugar spikes that happen.
Okay. Okay. And you said that you sit with them and then you try and convince them that this is what you have planned for them, these many grams of protein, these many calories and things. So generally, how much time do you generally spend with the athletes when you have a one-on-one session like this?
Okay, to start with, we have the assessment session that happens. That's usually about 25 to 30 minutes, where we're taking a 24-hour recall, understanding their supplementation, what they're consuming, and everything. And once we receive the reports from different departments, like the anthropometry, biochemistry, biomechanics, and all of them, then we do the nutrition assessment. Then we do a diet plan and sit with them for the counseling. The counseling can be anything between 2 minutes to 20 minutes. Sometimes they say I
Okay.
know everything. Then they're like, ma'am, diet plan aa gaya, to मैं देख लूंगा. So that is how the counseling happens. But most important is, ma'am, monitoring them and having a rapport with them. And
Mm-hmm.
it is very important to know the athlete well, what phase they are in. So it helps us to actually build a rapport and know whether they're doing something right or wrong. Like I also mentioned, we have something called as an athlete meal card, which is the translation of the diet plan into a card and which is kept in the
Mm-hmm.
dining, because it's very difficult for us to remember whether I said one egg white, one whole egg, two eggs. So
Mm-hmm.
we just need to pick up this card and have a look. And I've had very senior Olympians who actually sit with the card and serve themselves accordingly. So it's a
Okay.
mix of people that we see.
Yeah. Nice. So there's another question. Outsiders allowed for assessment and training at SAI, that is Sports Authority of India, in case I want, probably she's trying to tell that if she wants to go and have a look at the assessment, are the outsiders allowed?
Not really. I'm so sorry to say that, because
Mm-hmm.
we have the Indian teams with us where security is a very high concern. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Probably sometime down the lane we'll plan a visit with IDA. So then I think I can give you more picture of what we exactly do.
Okay. So, what is the criteria of athletes who train at SAI? SAI?
So currently I'm in Bangalore and this is a regional center. I take care of Karnataka, Andhra and Telangana. Whereas in these three states we have something called as a state training center. Okay.
Okay.
For first step is a state training center where there are open trials that happen. If you
Mm-hmm.
perform in the trial, then you're taken into a camp with the state training center. And once you're given 1 year time with certain key performance index that you have to achieve certain timing or you need to achieve certain number of medals. So once you finish that criteria and achieve that, then they are taken into something called as NCOE, that is National Center of Excellence. So once they are
Okay.
in NCOE, it is sometimes during trials that we select athletes for NCOE, or sometimes it is their achievement from the STC that they get graduated to NCOE. That's what I call it as. Okay. And when
Okay.
they're in NCOE, they have very stringent parameters, like they have to be a national medalist when they come to NCOE. That is
Okay.
criteria.
Okay. And for how long they can be with you until they are participating in the sports events?
Ma'am,
Okay.
usually they give a 1 year time to achieve certain amount of achievements. If they complete the achievement, they will be retained for 1 more year. If they are not performing well, they have been on injury for a long period of time and not competed in any competition like the girl that I spoke about, then they would be weeded out just like our examinations that happen. So 1 year is the time given. If they perform, they are retained. If they don't perform, then they are weeded out.
Is there any age limit, Namrata?
Ma'am, the juniors come under less than 21 years of age, and the seniors, we don't have a age limit. Currently, I have an Olympian who's a race walker, and he's about 38 years old.
Okay. Okay.
Every time I talk to him, he
All
says, "Is
right. Thank you so much, Namrata, for your patience. You've answered all our questions very patiently. Is there any word of caution that you want to give to our participants while while they are prescribing protein and fluid and carbohydrates, the type of carbohydrates to their you know patients?
okay. See, first and foremost thing is whether you're a practitioner outside or you're with an academy, make sure that you visit the ground once and see what actually happens on the ground. Because it is very important to understand how the athlete behaves on the ground. When they come to you for counseling, they might just nod the head and say, "Yes, yes, I'll do this." But it's very important to understand what actually happens on the ground. So, for all the nutritionists, I would say just once go and watch your athlete play, or just be on the ground to observe what they do. That is first thing that I would like to say for our fellow sports nutritionists. And second thing I would also like to say, especially when you're dealing with supplements, be very very cautious about it,
Okay.
because Vana and NADA is very very strict. Any mishap happens, the athlete can be banned for 3 years, which is a long time.
Mhm.
In the meantime, the athlete loses motivation to return back to sport. So we shouldn't be one of the person to play with their career. There are a few
Definitely.
websites which, like Informed Choice, which give you a detailed list of supplements that are dope free. But unfortunately, in India,
Mhm.
any lab certifying the dope free. So we go in for BSCG certification, that is the batch certified, and always make sure your athletes are buying supplements from a recognized vendor. One thing I always ask my athlete is, where did you buy? Amazon, Flipkart, and what not. Okay? Because tomorrow doping happens, Amazon will not come and handhold and tell, yes, I sold this supplement.
Oh,
So it's very
yeah.
important to buy from a certified vendor. And since I deal with the elite teams, we do have supplements coming in for them. But we have
Mm-hmm.
particular authorized vendor who can give us letter of authenticity, with
Okay.
who this is an authentic product, and everything would be mentioned there, the name, the batch number, expiry date, so we know how to go about in case of an unfortunate event. So I think it is very
Yeah.
important to follow these three things.
Yeah. Thank you. How do they manage with the funds for the protein supplementation?
Ma'am, for any supplementation, you do have, sorry, for any supplementation, you do have a fund by the government. So,
Oh, that's nice.
like they give an accommodation budget, like they give a food budget, they also
Mhm.
give a supplement budget as such. But
Wow,
again,
that's nice.
going by IOC rules, under 18 years, they're not supposed to consume any supplement. But now Sai is working on supplementation for less than 18 years. We are working to bring in a category of 12 to 18 years, what is actually science supported, science backed up supplement, and what they can consume.
That's nice. Thank you so much for a comprehensive session, Namrata. It's
Thank you.
really, really commendable to see you doing so well, and your experience has actually given us a lot of insights. And if at all anybody wants any insight, I would say that you can just connect with Namrata and she will help you handhold, and then you'll be able to take care of your clients who are coming to take help for the sports events. So with this, I think we can conclude the session. And I tell the fraternity people that if at all you need anything, do not hesitate and approach Namrata, and I hope Namrata will help them.
Definitely.
So, so I take
Ma'am,
this opportunity. Yeah, please tell.
yes. I think it's high time we see each other as competitors and actually be a part of the growth in the community. So it's
Definitely.
very important to help each other. I think that's what we all like minded nutritionists believe in. I think we
Yes.
have to continue that, and I'm very happy to help whoever comes to me.
See, that should be the spirit. Whatever you have learned, your experience is actually giving us a lot of information. So if all of us, start thinking like this, then we will have a really good practice and our patients will benefit from us.
True.
So, with this, let us conclude the program. And before I conclude, I would like to thank Namrata extensively on behalf of IDA Bangalore chapter and also from all the participants. And I thank all the participants for participating and making it really a successful event. And Priyanka was requesting that we should plan a visit to Sai sometime from IDA. So we will definitely do that in the coming year. And thanks to each one of you for participating and making it really a very informative session. And I thank all the LEC members for extending support and making it really, really a successful event. Thanks to all of you. Special
Thank,
thanks to Namrata.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
And I
much.
would like to thank our digital support team, Aisha and team, for seamless, streaming of this session. Thank you so much. So let us meet again in the month of Jan with another similar kind of a session on behalf of the Dietetics Day. So till then, take care of yourselves and let us continue doing our job and guiding our patients and clients about healthy eating and taking care of themselves. Thank you so much. Bye bye.